Good morning, dear students. This video is made for BA Part 3rd students of English Literature, and in this video, I am going to explain the remaining part of the poem The Dover Beach, written by Matthew Arnold. As in our earlier video, we have discussed about the works of Matthew Arnold, the life and death of Matthew Arnold, his literary career, and his genre. And we have also discussed about the present poem The Dover Beach, where what is the location of Dover Beach, where it is situated, and what is the theme of this poem. So in this part of the video we will discuss about the stanza 3rd and 4th. So on your screen you can see the text of stanza 3 and stanza 4. The opening lines of stanza 3 is: The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. Now, in these lines, the poet is using a device that is metaphor, and he is saying that the sea of faith, he is using metaphor as he is saying sea of faith was once too at the full. He is speaking about the past, and he is saying that once the humanity, the beliefs were full in the heart of people and round earth shore. Now he is again imagining he is imagining other metaphor. He is saying that once the sea of faith was full and it was round. In next lines he is saying that and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. Girdle means belt that we wear around our waist. Now in these lines he is using simile, and he is saying that sea of faith is as furled around earth's shore as we wear a belt around our waist. So now he is using in these three or four lines, he is using two devices. First is metaphor in sea of faith, and second is simile in bright girdle, lay like the folds of a bright girdle fold. So he wants to convey that once in the time of past, the religious faith, or we can say the spiritual faith, was full in the heart of people. But in next line he is saying, but now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind. But now he is lamenting. He is saying that once it was at full speed, but now I only hear the sounds of melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating. Now as he is comparing the sea to the sea of faith, that likewise in our second stanza he talks about the ebb and tide of the waves of the sea. Now similarly he is now saying that when the waves retreat, they carry back the singles, the pebbles. Likewise in this image he wants to say that while retreating the waves of sea of faith, it is only carrying with it the melancholy sound down the vast ages drear and naked shingles of the world. Now he is continuing with the same image. He is saying that while the waves of sea of faith retreat, they carry with them the naked shingles of the world. Shingles here means the loose stones on the seashore. So he is now using the image of ebb. Ebb here means getting lower. So now he is saying that once the sea of faith was at full, but now at retreating, but now in present it is getting lower with the day by day, and it has the sounds of melancholy, and withdrawing roar to the birth of the night, to the breath of the night wind. So now in this stanza, he is lamenting over the getting lower state of faith, and he is now in dreary desolation, despair, or disappointment. In the fourth stanza starts with these optimistic lines. Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, has really neither joy nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. So, now in this stanza, we can say that there is allusion of Adam and Eve. So, students, as you can note in the opening lines of this stanza, ah, love, let us be true to one another. After lamenting over the retreating of sea of faith, he is now somewhat optimistic, and he is addressing to his beloved, as in stanza second, as we have seen in stanza second, that he is in the room with someone. So he is addressing to his beloved, to the man, or we can say that he wants to convey a message of allusion of Adam and Eve. So in this line, he is addressing his love to be true to one another, and in the next line again he is rolling towards the present scenario of the world. He is saying that for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, he is saying that once world was appearing to us like a land of dream, so various, so beautiful, and so new. So this world which seems to us like a land of dreams, the land which has so various places, so beautiful places, and so new places. But now in the next line, his mood again changes, and he is saying, has really neither joy nor love nor light nor certitude nor peace nor help for pain. But now in this line he has a crashing finish, and he has a gloomy image. He is saying that once the world that seemed to us as land of dreams, but actually there is no joy, no love, no light, no certainty, no peace, and no help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain. So here darkling plain meaning means lightless place. So he is sketching a gloomy image. He is saying that we are here now in this world. We are now here as if we are living on the lightless place, swept with confusion, alarms of struggle and flight. And now he is mentioning that we are swept by noise and confusion. He wants to convey that once the land on which we are living, once this world appear to us like a land of dream, but now when we face the reality, we face that there is no joy, no love, no light, no certainty, no peace, and no help for pain. So, in the last lines, he is comparing the world to a battlefield, and he is saying that we are swept by noise and confusion, and in this world, people are fighting at night, and presumably, as as is discussed in the last two lines, he is saying that they are fighting at night and presumably killing their friends as well as their enemies. There is no marching, no even lines, no fancy hats and polished buttons, just misery, pain, terror and confusion. And as I have told you that the poet here wants to say that we are in the word of battlefield. So in last lines he is saying where ignorant armies clash by night. This is the word where we are swept by noise and confusion, and we are performing here like innocent armies who are fighting at night and presumably killing their friends as well as their enemies. So while rolling from the optimistic view in this stanza, in the last lines, he is in the mood of pessimistic or melancholic note of sadness. So this was the poem, and you all students are suggested to listen the video carefully and to make a note on critical literary points in this stanza and to write a critical appreciation of this poem. So, thank you all.